Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Bible in Our World Today. We're going to continue our study in the book of Revelation, chapter 8. We're going to be in verse 6. We're looking at the fifth trumpet judgment. Oh, this is a wicked one. This is terrible. This is demonic. It is satanic. It is almost as if there's not enough words in the English language to describe how terrible and evil this fifth trumpet judgment is. We got through a little bit of it last week. We got through the first 5 verses. And we're looking here at locusts with stingers in their tails. Oh, and they're inflicting some pain on humanity. They really are. These creatures are evil beyond description. We're going to pick up here in what we saw last week's we're going to pick up in verse 6. But it says, I'm going to just go back here and read verse 5. It says, and to them was given that they should not kill man. That's these locusts that we talked about last week. But that they should torment them, or that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. Now, I'll read verse 6 because we didn't get this far. And in those days shall men seek death, and they shall not find it, and they shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Now, we're going to look here in a minute at the description, or a little more in-depth look at the description of these, what I call demons. They come out of the bottomless pit. By the way, I don't know where the bottomless pit is. Is it in the earth somewhere? Is that where it is? Or is it somewhere in the heavens? And I don't know. All I know is it says that the bottomless pit was open and the smoke rose out of the pit. And it came upon the earth. So maybe it is in the earth. I don't know. God hasn't told us. But these demons come out. They look like locusts. We're going to see a further description here in a minute. And they come out, and it says that they sting man. I explained this in the last video, but I will explain it here again in this one. We were in Brazil in 1980, and a young man living down the roads had slipped his toe underneath the refrigerator. There was a scorpion there, and his little stinger tail hit him in the toe. And he said the pain was beyond anything he could describe. He had never, ever hurt that bad in his life. He said it was terrible. Now, it did go away. This is going to go away after 5 months. His was sooner. But what God said here is man would be tormented like the torment of a scorpion. Only 5 months. And he says that it's going to be so bad that in verse 6, man is going to seek death, and he says right here that death shall flee from them. What that's telling me is these people can't commit suicide. They can't end their life. They're suffering beyond any kind of pain that you could ever imagine, or that anybody could imagine, and they want to die, and they can't. And so for 5 months, they're going to suffer this way. I don't know how in that kind of pain you could function. How do you eat meals? How do you sleep at night? I mean, I don't know. But that's what's going to happen. And and everyone that gets stung is going to be the same. They're going to suffer indescribable pain. Indescribable pain. Now, I'm going to grab my notes here in case I need them. I'm going to read verses 7, 8, and 9. It gives us a further description here. And the shape of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of a woman. Their teeth were as the teeth of a lion. Verse 9, and they had breastplates, as it were, breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Now, demons are spirits. But here, these spirits have taken on a form. John is writing down here, or wrote down here, what that form was. Now, the form of these demons matches the evilness of the pain that they inflict. Just the looks of these things, if you've seen them, would almost be enough to frighten a human being to death. But it won't. But it'll sure put some fear in them. Now, and this is hard to imagine, they're shaped like a locust, and yet it says here, were like unto horses prepared unto battle. So they looked like battle horses to John. And yet they look like locusts. I don't know. All I know is this would get your attention immediately. I'm not sure Hollywood could portray anything to equal this. Now, they probably could. I don't know. And on their heads was a crown of gold, it says. This is not a victor's crown. Not a crown of victory of any stretch of the imagination. It apparently is more like a headdress. And when you would look at these beasts, these evil entities, they would have a face like a man. Then they had hair like the hair of a woman. And the idea is flowing hair that comes down, probably long hair. And again, that would remind a person of a woman's hair. And then they had teeth like a lion. Well, lions, the king, is referred to as the king of the beast. The lion survives by killing other animals and eating them. So these teeth would be just frightening beyond imagination. I'm having trouble with words here because I don't know how to describe this other than to just read what it says and what John wrote down here. And now here's another interesting thing about this. He says they had breastplates like the breastplate of iron. Now a breastplate for a soldier covers the upper body, all the vital organs. it would appear, I believe, that these beasts cannot be eliminated. They can't be killed. They can't be destroyed. Because they're protected with the breastplates. And it says, the sound of their wings. So now we know they have wings. And that is apparently how they propel themselves. And it sounds like, well, John used terms of his day. The sounds of chariots, out of many horses running to battle. I believe that also there would be an indication that if you could get close enough to them, you could not keep up with them to destroy them. So they seem to be protected. They seem to be such that humanity's not going to be able to eliminate them. Now, this would only add to the evilness, the diabolical evilness of the looks of these creatures. Verse 10, and they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stingers in their tails, and their power, and this a repeat, was to hurt man 5 months. So far, I'm not sure I could even draw this creature, but it is, for lack of better terms, I'm just repeating myself, evilness beyond human description. And the number 5 in the Bible refers to grace, but yet here the number 5 in the 5 months indicates suffering. Terrible suffering. Suffering of men and women. Now, in verse 11, it says, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. So there's one over all of these demons. Satan. And it says whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue, I'll get that word in there, in the Greek tongue, is the name Apollyon. The word Abaddon means destroyer. So the angel of the bottomless pit is a destroyer. That's what that word means. And it occurs several times here in the Bible. Always translated destruction. Now, this sums up this 5th trumpet judgment. I want to go back just a minute. Let me go back here to the 4th trumpet. I'm going to read a verse here out of the 4th trumpet. That was in a video several weeks ago. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet and the three angels which are yet to sound. So you have the fifth, sixth, and seventh angel yet to sound. And he said with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe. Woe always indicates, always refers to suffering, judgment. When that word shows up in the Bible, something terrible is going to take place. Look at verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. So now we're in verse 13 with the sixth trumpet. Number 5 trumpet was the first woe that the angel that was flying through the heavens declared. Now the sixth trumpet, we're going to see another woe. By the way, these woes are absolutely devastating. Absolutely devastating. I'm going to read a couple verses here. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels that are bound in the great river Euphrates. Listen, and the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay a third part of men. Now, we just have a judgment where man couldn't die. He could only suffer pain. Couldn't even take his own life. Now, there is a judgment where a third part of men are going to die. Keep in mind, in the sealed judgments, a quarter of everything was destroyed, including a fourth part of humanity. I don't know how many people will be left on earth. There'll be millions. Back a few videos ago, a quarter of mankind died. 25% of everybody on planet Earth. Now, out of the people that are left, there is an angel prepared to slay a third part of humanity. Once again, there's millions left. Let me say, these two events, they're not going to be years apart. I believe these judgments are going to take place in the last 3.5 years. So you will have, what we will have is a fourth part of humanity dies, and a short time later, a year later, year and a half later, I don't know. But it won't be very long. and now a third part dies. What we have to keep in our mind and think about is this. How do you bury that many people? You ever think about that when you read this? How can that many people be buried? And by the way, when he says a third part, the four angels were loosed. They were prepared. I like this. For an hour and a day and a month and a year. Do you realize that God right now has this day already? He knows when it is. And that these four angels were prepared for the task of slaying this many people. And God knows the exact minute it's going to happen, well, it'll probably take a period of time, but he knows, according here, the exact date. The exact day it's going to take place. He knows that. And I believe, from the description here, it's going to happen all at once. I don't believe it's going to be spread out. I could be wrong, but I believe the way the wording is here, that's going to take place. The other trumpet judgment, the fifth one, men were going to suffer for 5 months. I don't know how long those demons were going to be allowed to inflict pain, but it was going to be more than probably 1 day. I don't know, but I believe it would be. And now you have, in 1 day, the elimination of a third of every human being on planet Earth. Why are you taking so much time with this? To try to get the idea across, because I have trouble visualizing this. I have trouble, how does this happen? What will that be like? And so you have this utter destruction. Keep in mind, we've already had the seal judgments, tremendous suffering. Now we got the trumpet judgments, and now it's gone the next step further in suffering, in God's judgment. Look at verse 16. He says, "And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them." And verse 17, "And thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat upon them having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone." Let me tell you, folks, I don't know what that picture is. But is that... Are these angels or are these demons? We're going to have to find out. Next week, or in the next video, because I don't have time to get into that now. But the pictures that we're seeing right here are all a result of the rebelliousness of mankind towards the God of all creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And now we see this terrible judgment coming against mankind that he created in the beginning of Genesis, because of their godless sin. I am thankful. I am thankful to God that I'm not going to see any of this. I'm going to be in the presence of Jesus Christ. And so will you. And so will every believer. But what we have seen today in this is evil beyond imagination. Next week we're going to continue and we're going to look at what God has to say in regards to these people coming out of the Euphrates River. We'll look at that a little further next week and make further description of it. In the meantime, have a good week ahead. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you folks, and may God just richly bless you as you serve Him.